Okay, so now's the time to grab all your kids and get them in front of the devices. And I'm going to ask Livy some questions. And then, yeah, we're going to do a memory verse even. So the adults have to also do it. So they're not allowed to get away with it. I'm going to try my best to do the memory verse. We don't know what it's going to look like. So city kids, this little section is for you. So Nandi, Adrian, this pump. Or elbow, should I say. So Olivia, the last little while we were driving in the car and Mom said we found out that some of you guys were fearful. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, since there's coronavirus going around, some kids might be scared because of their parents telling them, "Oh, you need to wash your hands, you need to sanitize, you mustn't touch this, you mustn't do that, don't speak in front of your friends," and it gets really annoying. So, and your parents might cause you to be scared, but we're going to explain today why we should not be scared. Yeah, so hand over to you.
So we were at home and we were talking about the story. Well, Lindsay brought the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So kids, you have to ask your parents to read through the book of Daniel for you. Okay, so in that book is a really, really cool story about these three guys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So you got to try to say those words. Livy's she's gonna tell you a little bit why this story is so important and why we don't have to be fearful in ourselves when we look at the example of these kids, these guys.
Okay, so these three men did not want to obey their king when the king wanted them to worship a statue. They only wanted to worship God. So this king decided to throw them into a fire, and they were not fearful. Why? Because they knew that their God was going to protect them. So an angel was in the fire, and when they got out the fire, they were not burnt at all. No scratches, no dents, nothing. So that's just a story that explains how we should not be fearful because God is always with us.
So what are some of the other things we can do not to be fearful? I was thinking about how we pray at night. So what are the kind of things the kids can pray for before they go to bed that will help them not be fearful?
Well, maybe like in our family, we pray that there will be angels surrounded in the house and help us not to be fearful when we go to bed.
Lovely. So now we're going to do a memory verse. And so Livy is going to teach me a memory verse and I'm going to do the action. So hopefully I can get this right. The memory verse is from Psalm 91 and it's going to be verse 2. Okay, so Livy?
Okay. So Psalm 91 verse 2 says, "I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust." Now that was a bit boring. So Dad, I think you need to add some actions into that.
Okay, so what's the first part is?
I will say.
So, I will say
No.
of the Lord.
Stop.
What?
That is not good.
Oh.
You speak with your mouth. So I will say.
Oh, I get it. Okay, so I will say. So kids,
Correct.
you got to copy me here. I will say.
That's correct. I will say of the Lord.
I will say of the Lord.
No, that's even worse. Of the Lord. He lives in heaven.
Oh, okay. So I will say of the Lord.
He is my refuge and my fortress.
He is my refuge.
No, refuge. Another word for strength. Refuge.
Oh, okay, so I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge.
Correct. And my fortress.
And my fortress.
No, fortress.
Oh, okay. So I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress.
My God. Up here again.
My God.
In whom I trust.
In whom I trust.
No, in whom I trust.
Okay, so I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge, my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. Okay, so now kids, you got to say this with me and do the actions, and I want the parents have to do it as well. So if the parents aren't doing it, they're in trouble. So Psalm 91 verse 2. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge, my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. So that's it from us for the Citygate Kids today. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you remember that, and remember that God is your refuge, your fortress, and a God in who you can trust. Thank you, Livy, for helping us today. That was wonderful.